On the front page of the Daily Statesman, NPP condemns Salaga violence, demands probe to punish culprits, new regions, better access for all. That's according to President Akufo-Addo. NGO fights minority MPs over bloody widow attack, and renaming of Ho Technical University has been put on hold.
Now, the BNFT is reporting this morning construction of 13 million euro Kumasi wastewater treatment plant commences, and there's one about for every delay in obtaining permit or license, we pay dearly. This is according to businesses represented by the Private Enterprise Foundation.
The Ghanaian Times newspaper, the Gosu Techiman story is also on the front page here, but also on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. We will not allow indiscipline in financial sector again. Parliament holds passage of RTI Bill. Presidential Fiscal Responsibility Advisory Council inaugurated. Back page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Kotoko overcomes Zesco scare.
Okay, and
that's the best news for the day.
Japan grants Ghana $2.73 million to procure vehicle gadgets for police.
Finally, from me on the front page of the Daily Graphic, let's unite against vigilantism. Doubletrack system, SHS2 students exit the next academic year. And if you have the Graphic Showbiz, you can find all the details of our Lovers Dinner and Dance tonight inside, as well as our Kids Olympics this weekend.
Right, so that's it for the front pages, shall we?
Yes.
Anymore, let's begin with you. Doubletrack about to end soon.
Yes, indeed. So the government has started to disperse about $500 million. That's about $2.5 billion that came in through the inflows into the GET Fund for the completion of classrooms. So what's happened is that about 766 abandoned and new structures will be completed, because by September, when the first Form 1 students go to Form 2, that'll be the end of their season of Doubletrack, and so it will be a single track system. So it's important that infrastructure is put in place. Contracts have already been awarded. All contractors have been given 6 months to complete structures, so that they're ready by September. And Dr. Educhum has been saying that the money is available, so there is no excuse for the non-completion of structures.
And he didn't specify where the money was coming from, because I remember specifically that the GET Fund monies were going to be securitized, meaning they'll sort of use as collateral for a loan.
Yes,
and then a loan of about 1.5 billion will be taken to bridge the infrastructure deficit in the SHS space, and also build infrastructure in tertiary.
Yes, no, that's exactly what the newspaper says. It doesn't specifically say where the money is coming from. It just mentions that it has been released at the back of inflows into the GET Fund.
Okay.
That's it.
So what we were made to understand in an earlier engagement with the education minister was that inflows from GET Fund coming in are not coming at the rates that we want to. So we are not getting enough money from GET Fund at a specific time. So we'll take a loan and use those inflows to pay off the loan, like it's being done with the energy sector and the energy sector levies.
Just securitize the inflows.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Exactly. So it will be interesting to get those details and see the rates that we got the loans for and all of that. But it's good news to see that Doubletrack is coming to an end.
It's coming to an end for the Form 1 students. But when we take in new students, so every Form 1 sets for a while will have the Doubletrack system. But when they go to Form 2, then they'll move into a single track.
Okay. That's good to know. Raymond, Minerals Commission has blown 379,000.
This story in the new Crusading guide chronicles, according to them, how the commission spent 379,180 cedi on a 3-day trip to Cape Town, South Africa. Of course, the trip was for what's known as the 2019 Indaba Conference, and the conference really has been happening for some time. It's one of the leading mining conferences in the world, and this happens virtually every year. This year's theme was championing Africa's sustainable economic growth in 2019. Now, if you look at a cursory, do a cursory look of the schedule list and the cost components of the trip, the complaint from the new Crusading guide is that this trip, we have consistently taken either 3 or 4 people from the Minerals Commission. Unfortunately, this time around, we took 12 people there. Now, we took the CEO, Adai Enchibo Esiako, his deputy, Martin Kweku Eisi, the CEO's special advisor, and 7 board members and 2 PRs to attend the conference in this particular case. If you also go into the schedule, for example, it's not funny, but I'm just saying that the board members were all supposed to be, part of the conference. PROs were supposed to be part of the conference. CUS, special advisor, were all part of this particular conference. And the conference is to share knowledge and opinion on how to develop the mining sector.
And the monies that were voted to them for per diem.
Now, per diem was 2,178. This is 3 days, so 3 days. Per diem was 2,178 for CEO. His airfare.
For the whole period or per day?
No, this is actually stipulated per day.
Per day.
Yeah, so airfare was 26,980. Indeed, we know the yes.
First class.
Yes, first class.
First class.
So $26,000.
No, cedis rather.
So 26,000 cedis.
Cedis
Sorry,
for
to fly
them
to South
there
Africa
and bring
back.
them back.
No, one person.
One person,
One person,
individual.
26,000
Yes,
is
of
one
course. I
person.
mean, and most of them went first class and business class all through.
Why?
Because this is mining conference. This is Minerals Commission. Minerals Commission raises money from the what they call mining firms in this case. So they will think they have money to spend. But even I remember was it on under Muhammad that they said that even if you have to travel, you can't go by first class or business class because you can't use the taxpayers' money to go and give yourself comfort.
And you see whether or not the Minerals Commission is able to raise funds from mining companies, for instance, to pay for this. The question raised is that how were those funds raised? Is it through license fees? Is it through legal fees? That's the Minerals Commission's IGF. If
or
that is the
budgetary
case,
allocation, yeah.
thank you, or budgetary allocation. If it is even IGF, couldn't the IGF have been used for something else, for building their capacity, for instance, rather than buying plane tickets?
No, they have to
and
go to
if
conference.
they specially raise the monies from the mining companies, doesn't that compromise them in some way? If, for instance, they went to the mining company to say, give us this money for us to buy our plane tickets, doesn't that compromise the regulator in some way? We are not saying that that's what happened. We're just asking questions as they come along. Malik, let's go to frustrated prosecutors.
Yes, so police prosecutors say they are frustrated and they are fed up of using their own personal money to deal with prosecutions. They do not understand why the state fails to resource them financially to prosecute criminals and bring them to justice. You know that last year there was this principle which was introduced and I'm talking about discovery of documents, which essentially says that if the state is prosecuting any persons or the police are prosecuting people on behalf of the state, the prosecutors have a duty and a responsibility to produce whatever documents that they intend to rely on in the course of the prosecution and submit same to the defendants or the accused. Now, the police say that they have to use their own money to photocopy documents that they have to hand over to persons that they are prosecuting so that the prosecutions can go on. They say this can no longer continue because they are using their personal money and the state has to deal with this. One of them spoke to the Daily Heritage newspaper, who says that, let me just quote him, "We don't have offices at all. We don't have tables to put our documents on to write. We only go to court, and you have to make sure if a docket is brought to you, you call the witness one after the other and put down their statement and give it to a typewriter to type." And I'm like, do we still have typewriters in this day?
That's what shocked me when you first told me that.
Clearly we do.
Well, that's what the police are saying. So when we are going to file it at the court, it is free, but you don't have a computer. You don't have a typewriter and a printer. So before you finish giving about 5 copies to a witness, the judge's copy plus the lawyer's copy, my brother, one of the investigators said they spend about 200 Ghana cedis to do this. And they do this repeatedly, and they say it is not sustainable.
So, Enima, when unfortunately a carpenter kills his girlfriend over slippers, you wonder what sort of justice delivery would be given.
Yes. So this 39-year-old carpenter, he's in official town. Apparently, okay, so this is what happened. His girlfriend, Ajosewa, who's a trader, came to visit him. And when she came to visit him, as women do, she was looking around and she saw a pair of female slippers, new female slippers. So she asks him that, "Oh, so have you bought these slippers for me?" And he says, "No, it is not for you. It is for my former girlfriend." She gets upset and they start to argue. Now, the guy says, the carpenter says that she came at him with a kitchen stool to come and try and hit his head in the course of the argument. And he retaliated by strangling and killing her which seems to be, anyway. He retaliated by strangling and killing her. When he realized that she was dead, he picked up the body and went to hide it behind another house in the vicinity. And then they found the body. They called the police. People in the area called the police, and they were able to give intel. They were able to recognize and say, oh, this is the carpenter's girlfriend. But she was dead. So she was dead by the time that the police got there. The corpse has been taken to the autopsy, and the 39-year-old carpenter is still at the police station.
That's a terrible story, especially to hear on a day like this when we are celebrating love. Rest in peace to the lady. Condolences to the family,
yes,
as well. Raymond, some good news. Inflation is down to a 6-year low.
Yes, the last time we had inflation of such sort, which is 9%, was in January 2013. That is 8.8%. So since then, we've been having inflation. But, the December one, we're talking about was 9.4. We'll also be having inflation trending within the single-digit regime for some time now. And that's some good news for us. I mean, the claim from all of this is that the food and non-food inflation also the reductions. That means that the averagely and the rate of change of the prices on food and non-food inflation actually were on the downward trend, but food was way lower than that of non-food inflation. And in this food inflation, we're talking about cereals and other things. We're also talking about food stuff and other things that you buy on the market. So a specifically selected grouping put in the basket. And again, the non-alcoholic basket equally came down, and we are looking at by 0.7% compared to the non-food inflation, which declined by just 0.3%. And that's an area we should be seeking to see how we can do. Electricity and other things actually remain a bit stable in that zone, but clothing is one of the factors that seem to be driving that part really on the other end. But the conversation from the BNFT is pretty simple. That is making a case for the Bank of Ghana to cut further its policy rates. The conversation is that the policy rate should have a reflection on the interest rates in the various banks, the commercial rates that they charge and all of that. There's, however, the argument that to sustain the Ghanaian currency, the cedi, you shouldn't cut down your policy rate. Why? This is because investors who bring in dollars to invest in the various sectors will require a higher rate for them to be interested in investing in your economy. So you see the dynamics in here. On one hand, you may have to cut down to make sure that it reflects, which hardly reflects anyway. Once in a while, you see some changes at the commercial end. On the other side, because your investors are picking up money out of the economy, because when they invest, they convert their dollars into cedis. When they do into cedis, after getting their interest, they take the money and the interest back into dollars and take the money out of the country. But you want to keep them, what you do is that you increase your policy rates more so that it will incentivize them. Because others in the emerging market space are equally looking for what they call it.
My concern, Raymond, about the dollar was the fact that if the dollar rate keeps going higher, that means that prices would increase, and that will come back and hit inflation.
Brilliant. It would also affect inflation in this way.
I want to see the rate of inflation at the end of this month when we are seeing some instability in the city. I think it's 5 cedis 30 pesos. Yes, morning.
That's what no one tells me this morning.
We are going to speak to Ken Thompson on the line today to just give some advice to businessmen and people who buy on how to survive. It's a period of cedi depreciation. But Malik, I'm coming to you because Parliament has halted the passage of the RTI Bill. Why?
Yes, the Ghanaian Times reports that they've put it on ice. And the reason essentially...
they use that expression, on ice.
Yes, they put it on ice. And the reason is that the Committee on Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs says that they have received a number of memoranda asking for amendments to the bill. And because of this, they have to suspend the passage of the bill right now, and then they go through those amendments yet again before the bill can be passed. You have to also remember that yesterday we spoke to Oseche Mensah-Bonsu, who is the majority leader, who himself was talking about the cost of implementing the bill, and that because of that, the implementation of the bill has been deferred to 2020. He thinks that in other jurisdictions, when similar bills were passed into law, it took, in some cases, 4 or 5 years or 3 years or 2 years for the bills to be operationalized. But in Ghana, too, a suggestion was made in Parliament, and I'm talking about the MP for Ofinsu. He is the chairman of the committee, who says that they are considering all of the amendments that have been suggested so that they can deal with it. Also, the MP for Suhum, Frederick Operiansa, also suggested that the bill, when passed into law, it should take 12 months before it is operationalized. Again, that too is being considered by the committee. When all of that is done, it will be tabled again, and then we will see whether eventually this bill, which has been lingering in Parliament for decades, will eventually be passed.
We live to see. Shan't we? But I think that we would see this. We must keep making noise about this. Really, it's if when the noise dies, that someone can easily push it, sweep it under the rug.
It's part of all the promises that have been made about the bill being passed.
Well, Raymond, DNA has confirmed Mr. Asamoah Gyan is the father of his ex-wife's children.
Yes, the report we are receiving from the new Crusading Guard, authoritative it says, is that the DNA request, which was made by the family of the Black Stars player, actually demanded that all 3 children to be subjected to the process, so that it is confirmed to him whether or not these are his children. And again, we were told that he was in court. He's actually still in court for an annulment of the marriage that he is in with Madame Gloria. The understanding here is that he has issues, but he's not seeking a divorce. He's asking for annulment. This was tangential to that particular request anyway, but the report from the newspaper says that all the children passed the test. In fact, then it reported social media commentary, which suggests that people are not excited by first his decision to drag his marriage into the media and make all of these, and that is to be established that he didn't do so. I mean, I think it was a report.
Well, he didn't do it himself.
Yeah, they scooped it somewhere out of some grapevine to find the information there. So that is the latest update you can get from that.
Yeah,
I mean, this
was
is
the story.
See, listen, in a very long while, this is the first time we've seen the people establish that this is really the children. You remember the others who went to the John Mensah case. You remember the other gentleman to the Odate Lamte case.
Yes,
so it looks like this is some good news.
Yes,
that not all football players have.
Not all footballers' wives.
Oh yes,
not all footballers' wives have questions about their children.
Or have been players.
I wanted to say that not all football players in this country have children they don't own.
Okay, or not all football players have been played. Let's leave it there. Malik, finally.
Yes,
the media
Foundation for West Africa and some other anti-graft agencies believe that the media's role in the fight against corruption has been abysmal. We have, according to the Chronicle newspaper, 136 newspapers, 400 radio stations, 200 TV stations, and in spite of all of these, according to Suleiman Abrahama, who is the executive director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, the media's contribution to the fight against corruption is abysmal. And Linda Oforukwafu, who is also the executive director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, agrees that the media, in fact, some people actually use the media to fight against fellow media houses or media personnel who are fighting against corruption. And that point was also made by Suleiman Abrahama, who says that very influential people or some individuals in the society resort to the use of renowned journalists to kind of destroy the work of other journalists. They think that this must stop if the fight against corruption will be dealt with. They said in the past there were fewer media houses, fewer journalists, and yet they made better impact in terms of the fight against corruption. Today, given the proliferation of media houses and media personnel, the fight is rather on the low.
You know, the Journalists Association itself has released a statement before that some local businessmen are being attacked by some investigative journalists.
To me, very
strange.
Yes, very strange. I was wondering how.
And that statement was actually issued when we were doing a particular story.
We'll come there. Kojo is joining us on the Super Morning Show today, guys. And he's also in the graphic showbiz anymore.
Yes, he is. There's a pullout if you need all the details, but I can tell you anyway. It's tonight at 7:30 p.m. at the Kempinski Gold Coast Hospital. It's 500 CDs, single VIP, 1,000 CDs for the couple VIP, and then 400 and 800 for regular tickets. Tickets are available at the front desk here at Joy FM. Do pass by, grab a ticket, or call us. We'll deliver for free. Whatever you do, just get your tickets and join us tonight. It will be absolutely amazing and very romantic.
Very, very romantic.
Yes.
The atmosphere will be charged. Anyway, the number to call is 0544 336 512. 0544 336 512. Call and he'll bring you your ticket. Now, it's time to go online. The online news review is brought to you by Zenith Bank in your best interest and Goyle Good Energy. It's a season of love, and as Goyle, our love reflects in our service, our quality, and our reliability. So let's keep the love for Goyle products active. Continue to get the best in quality and value for money from Goyle Super XP and Diesel XP and trusted range of lubricants. To our customers, we say thank you for loving Goyle. We value our partnership with you. Love Goyle, love Ghana. Goyle Good Energy, Goyle Yenara, Yedia. Now, bank light with Zenith Bank. How? Via Zenith Internet Banking. Use Zenith Bank's upgraded internet banking service to effect instant transfers, view account statements, top up investments, request for checkbooks, block your card, pay bills, and so much more. Sign up for free and bank light with Zenith Bank. Zenith Bank, always in your best interests. There's an op-ed on myjoyonline.com that you want to see. A love letter to my Valentine. It's written by Emmanuel Carl. It appears to be addressed to the president. It begins with, "It's not been so long since you won my heart. We are only in our third year since we fell in love." I love it. You want to go and read that article. Video, "I was a betweener for my husband. Aziz Gizar's wife reveals." Wife of Reverend Victor Pakpo Ado.
Took over.
AKA Aziz Gizar. She
Some
said, "Look,
anointing
I
charge.
can't be a bookman forever.
Oh,
Me too, I
God.
want to go there some."
Oh, the anointing is strong.
There's a video on myjoyonline.com. Go and watch it. Mrs. Gertrude Ado spills it on Drive Time on Joy Wednesday. Now, US visa restrictions on Ghana will not escalate. That's coming from Foreign Minister Shirley Ayoko Boche. Now, the Nigerian elections features again on the BBC.com. The spread of false information is the focus this time. There's a nice feature on how false info, or fake news as we call it, is spreading relating to the Nigerian election. Right, that's it for the news and online review. Guys, thank you so much for bringing us the latest. We're going to have an amazing show today where Kojo Entry will join us. So, yeah, Kojo Entry will be joining us today on the Super Morning Show. So you want to send in your request for him via our text and WhatsApp line 0244 340437 at Joy997 FM on Twitter, Joy99.7 FM on Facebook. Also, before that, we'll be speaking with Ken Thompson, who will be telling us that, look, if the cedi is sliding against the dollar, here's what you can do to keep your business afloat. You need that. Or pay in your personal expenses. You need that. Stay with us for that conversation coming up.